Hey guys, wanted to bring another video. This is going to be about a show I saw on ESPN called The Top 5 Reasons Why You Can't Blame the Portland Trail Blazers for Drafting Sam Bowie. So, going from their list, number 5, draft is a crapshoot. I've heard that plenty of times, and wanted to give you a little background about me. I actually took a scouting class. I actually have a certificate for scouting. And so that is pretty accurate. A draft can be a crapshoot, but there's certain scientific background behind it where you could do the research and there's actually measurements that you actually have. If you watch the combine, it's the same concept. You have measurements based on what they can and can't do. But there's some that's going to be a specialized player, and you're going to rank them specialty, superstar, all-star, franchise player, cornerstone. So there's all type of measurements that you give for each player. And in this sense, when they stated draft is a crapshoot, if you look at every draft, there's always something or someone was missed in the draft, and this was no exception. In this case, it was for Portland Trailblazers. It was between Jordan or Sam Bowie. And as we go through this list, I could kind of see why the Portland Trailblazers did what they did. Because if they won that coin flip for that 84 right to get the first draft pick, then they would have probably had a nice dynasty with Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon together. And you saw what they were able to accomplish in Houston with Clyde. So just want to give you a thought. The fourth one is size matters. And the thing with that, back then, most of the MVP players were winning with a big man inside. You would the conventional thought was that you feed the big man and you're going to have them win that way. So in that sense, it made sense that way. And you had the Bill Russells, Will Chamberlain. The only big man, I forgot his name, but looking at the history, it was the Golden State Warriors that won the MVP. His name, I can't think of his name right now, but that was the last player till '84 that won with another guy besides a big man. Number 3, Bill Walton. So they want a bunch of Bill Waltons. They want another big man like Bill Walton because that was their only championship they won. But they want a healthy version of Bill Walton. But I guess love is blind in that sense, where they thought, well, we won a championship with Bill Walton before, and it's worth it if we could get one with Sam Bowie. So we should take a chance with it, even though there was already red flags in the draft report where he already had some injuries before that. So I think they should have did more research in that sense. And if they knew that, they would. And their way of drafting back then, if you look at their history, Portland was pretty good at drafting at the time. So if they knew that, they would have probably drafted Jordan, but it will tell you later. Hold on. Number 2, Dean Smith. His system, he kept players under a certain amount of points, which Jordan averaged 17.7 points. So in that sense, you couldn't tell if he was going to translate to a great player in the NBA. So because people didn't know if he was a product of a system player or was it more of a team-oriented play. So, but you had players that came out of the North Carolina system that was really good out of Dean Smith, and he just kept players below their potential, full potential. The number one reason, and this clearly makes sense, they already had Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler was pretty good in that sense. He's a Hall of Famer. They had Jim Paxson as a backup. So, in what sense, how are you going to play Jordan unless you play him, maybe Jordan and Clyde as a 1 and a 2? Or you could probably put one of them as a 3, but they're kind of too short and not big enough. So, they could have probably tried it. If it was in this era right now with Jordan and Clyde, they would win multiple championships. In this era, it would have been perfect for them. They would have won championships easily, hands down. I mean, look at Miami Heat. They did it that way with LeBron and Dwayne Wade. That 1-2 combo works in that sense. But in the 80s, they were still playing inside the post, feeding it to the big man, trying to go that way. I mean, you can see Magic Johnson. It was an inside-outside game in that sense. But Magic Johnson was one of a kind where he could play in the post. Excuse me. And so that's the wrap. I thought it was a really good documentary or an episode on why you can't really blame what the Portland Trailblazers did. I mean, we now know how it turned out, but if you were at the moment in 1984 for the draft before it happened, you would have known why they had to do this sense, why each team had to come out in that sense. Now, a couple extra nuggets on that. The Houston Rockets tanked, and that's why they implemented the following year the draft lottery. Second tidbit that I thought was kind of interesting, if you think about it, Patrick Ewing was supposed to come out that year too, but he promised his mom that he would finish his 4-year degree, so he did and stayed at Georgetown. And if he did come out that year, it would have been no brainer. It's going to be Patrick or Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, then Michael Jordan. You knew that was going to turn out. Or here's the other thing: Ross Thorne said he wasn't too thrilled about having Jordan at the time. Now he wanted a big man. So does that mean if Sam Bowie slipped? Would they have gone with Sam Bowie? Then Jordan would have slipped, and we don't know how far he would have dropped. So that's another thing that would have been interesting to come up with. So other than that, thank you for watching this video. Go ahead and share, subscribe, and hopefully you enjoyed this video.